Hey, it's Jay Skyline and James here on UnFiltered, GMWorldWideRadio.com. Yo, man, we back. We're about to hit this review for the Dizzy Wright, The Golden Age 2. Now, for me, again, was a huge Funk Volume fan back when it was a label with all of them. Dizzy is now solo, independently, still being managed by the same person from Funk Volume, but it's him by himself. Now, the original Golden Age, the mixtape, was one of the best projects when it came out, when I first heard it. And I'm excited to see where this one is when I got a chance to get in my hands on it, because I hadn't listened to Dizzy in a while. After the fallout with Funk Volume, I hadn't really listened to any of them. Hobson, Jaron, DJ Hopper.
I feel like they all just kind of like
they've been dropping stuff. I just
kind of haven't really after all that. I didn't know what I would expect from anyone.
Right. So, but it's interesting being back. Like, what was your pre-Dizzy before this album?
I always liked Dizzy. I liked everyone pretty much. I mean, pretty much everyone out of Funk Volume. You know, kind of went down south. You know, with things. I mean, I always like Hobson. You know, he's not going to be on this, or he isn't. But nobody really from any. Actually, he didn't really have really too many big names. So I was like, okay, I didn't really know what to expect. You know, I kind of had a blank slate. You know, I'd never listened to the first one, so I'm gonna have to go out and do that. You know, but I mean, this I didn't know what I was expecting. So it was a good one. You know, I really like the things Dizzy has done in the past, so I had high expectations in the first place. So I do put you on a pedestal a bit, because you know what you've done really good in before. Keep that trend going on. So I mean, that's where I was at coming in.
And he's a extended family to the Bone Thugs and Harmony, so it was always interesting with that too. Like, always knowing that he had that. You didn't know that?
He's like what?
Dizzy Bones is his uncle.
Oh.
I said Dizzy Bones, Dizzy's uncle.
Dizzy, right? Okay.
But like I said, definitely it's an interesting project to his. And well, he was independent on Funk Volume, but not like a full independent left, because now he's really by himself. But like I said, getting into the review was 18 tracks. A little long for my day and age now, but it was 18 tracks. A good 18. Yeah. This was like, honest to God, this was a good album. A really good album. It was really hard for me to find problems with the album. I did find problems with the album, but it was just like, it wasn't like I could straight up say that it was terrible in any way, shape, or form. Not like there was only one song where I'm like, I don't want to hear this again. There was really only one song. There was a second song where I was like, I just felt like it could have been better. But again, 18 tracks. I feel like at some point you're gonna get to that point where there's a song that doesn't add up to you. One thing I can say is features were on point. Every track's features were great. I love the fact that he had Shelly back, because Shelly was a major part of the first Golden Age. The songs they had together in the first Golden Age were like duets, and they were just great, beautiful ballads. And it was kind of like that with her this time, even though she was on only 2 tracks. And then the second track, it was only really her ad-libbing at the end of the hooks. But again, beautiful album. Starts off great with Looking Up featuring Euros. And it just keeps on moving from there with Words from the Streets, outrageous. Big Crit's the only major feature. Yeah. Everybody else to me is basically unknown, but every feature to me, because there's a decent amount of them. It's not like Big Crit's the only feature, but everybody else I'm assuming is like local Vegas or local West Coast guys. But everybody did their part. Like, I'd actually be interested to hear some of these other people's solo stuff. Biggest track to me, Fraud. Fraud is that like...
Fraud's a good one. Oh, yeah.
Like, Fraud is just the idea that he came at it. Like, he comes out and says in the hook, like, hey, well, I respect industry dudes, but if you don't write your shit, get out of the way. Like, you're not top 10, you're not a top 10 rapper. Like, he said that whole song is a call out. Like, yo, you can be pop, you can be underground, you can be whatever part of rap you want to be. But if you're not writing your shit, move the fuck out the way. You're not here. You're not with us.
That's how, like, no, because you know what I'll have to say, because these are my top tracks. Do the Most and Fraud, and they're back to back. It goes Do the Most first, and then it goes Fraud, and then pretty much it's the same. They're both back to back. They're like, he's like, yo, you fucking up the game. That's what he's like saying. And
Do the Most was the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good one. I mean, like, and that's how I feel. Like, if you ain't writing your shit, you ain't doing it. I don't feel like you really deserve that much credit. I feel like it's like whenever you go back to the the award ceremony where like they're talking about the editor and this and that. Like, I feel like these people, like, who are you saying that deserves Wyclef? Wyclef deserves to touch gets the you know, the award before DJ Khaled gets the award. You know, it's like that. Like, you don't really deserve it. You just saying you have a good voice or whatever. You have a good, you know, maybe like rhyme scheme or whatnot. You know, you can do it. But I mean, that's just me. But I mean, like, that's why I really like those songs. You know, both on, you know, this. I mean, Dizzy, like, that's what Dizzy can do. He can, you know, he can call out anyone.
His range is amazing.
Yeah.
Between the spoken word, the going at it with his more aggressive style with songs like I Can't Keep Falling or Give It to Him Real or Loophole. Those last songs on the album like remind me like, oh, if he gets angry, he'll come at you.
Yeah.
And then you still have songs like Choosing and in Desperate D where he hits you with the realness, where it's like, I go through this shit. Even though I'm a rapper and y'all see me on these magazines and shit, I'm not that big. I'm not out here balling. You can't ask me for money and expect me to give you money every time I ask you for money. He hits you with those tracks where it's like, I'm not Dizzy Wright knows he's not an upper tier rapper yet. And he talks about that in this album where like friends and family expect him to have money constantly. And it's like, you do know that I just lost my label and I'm basically paying for all the shit out of pocket right now. Yeah. But you think I'm balling. And Dizzy says that. Like, I don't respect that out of Dizzy. Like, Dizzy, people under me, like I was saying about sports the other day, like the NFL, like if you're not one of the top 10 in your position, you're not getting paid that much. Technically, you're getting paid about the same as a doctor. It's the same thing about this rap game. Or not the rap game alone, even in music. Like, if you're not a top country act, you're not probably making that much. Like, being a B or C level rapper is like being in the AAA or AA of baseball, where it's like you're still getting paid, but you're basically just paying your bills and smoking some tree. Like, you basically have a day. You're running your career's at the level of a day job. You're not balling. You're at the basic level of the day. It's like being a car salesman. People don't like. That's what I can say. Being a lower tier rapper is like being a car salesman because you're constantly. Your name is what you have to go by. You got to hope these clubs want to pay you to come. Like shit like that. And that's where Dizzy's at in his career. He's not, like I said, we rock with Dizzy because we've been listening to him for a minute. But I can't walk outside and be like, yo, you know Dizzy Wright. It doesn't work like that. And there's a better chance if I walk outside and pick up a random person right now that they know 21 Savage before Dizzy Wright. And that's where Dizzy knows that. And I respect that Dizzy understands that in his album. Again, he's one of my favorite young artists right now. I think he's dope. Not everybody else sees that because he's not had the chance. He was a double XL freshman. People forget that. He was the voted in double XL freshman. He was a double XL. Because they started that thing where you could vote in one person. And it was like a 3-year period where Funk Volume had the number that voted in person every year until the label fell apart.
Do they still let you vote people in?
Yeah, I think one person, somebody was supposed to get voted in and they weren't going to let him be voted in because of domestic violence or something.
Oh.
I think it was supposed to be. Like, I think they gave it to XX in the end, but they weren't going to give it to him at first. Shout out to Talk to Me and Don't Hold Me Back. That was the combo track, which is like the idea of a combo track. It was like a cohesive track, which made sense to like the transition and everything. The only two, like I said, I didn't even have 3 bad tracks. That's how good this album was. I only had 2 tracks. One track I Don't Want to Hear Again was really Big Shots featuring Rizzy English. You know, that was the one where I'm like, I don't really rock with this track. And the lead single, J.O.B., the hook is terrible. The verses are cool, but the single for J.O.B., I think it was the track with the single in the video, that was terrible. Everything else, Caught Slippin' is dope. Like, Caught Slippin', it was like one of those storytelling tracks about like, hey, you balling on all that, but you got caught slipping with like just getting pulled over or something simple. That one's dope. Ghetto Niggas dope. Like, that one's more of I would say, a childish type of track. Then Pet Peeve is one of my favorite tracks. Pet Peeve is the posse track. And Pet Peeve is actually Malachi said something the other day about if you're going to have features, it's supposed to be like y'all on the same track, but you still have the individuality of each of your styles. Pet Peeve for 3 different artists to be on this track, and they fully have completely different styles. It's a perfect mesh of those 3 styles between Dizzy Wright, Fats, and Cedric Price, which are, like I said, Dizzy's laid back. Cedric Price is more, Fats is like, I guess, more of the normal everyday rapper to me. Even though he's still dope. His verse is dope, but he's like, I guess, on the cookie cutter side of things. And then Cedric Price is more the unorthodox, gritty voice guy. Like his voice is more gritty. They changed that his beat for his verse. The beat has switched up for his verse, but it was a good switch up. Like that whole thing was amazing to me, and it was a posse cut. To me, that's what the posse cut is. The three, you and the two other dudes on the song cut. It's the only song that has more than one feature on it too in the entire album. And then, like I said, the album ends great. Last three tracks, Give It To Him, Real, I Can't Keep Falling, Loophole were all dope. How's your synopsis of the album?
It was a pretty dope. It was. I liked them all. It was only a few too. I had to re-listen to In Desperate Need in my car. You know, not crashing. But
they're not crashing my car.
No, but I sometimes I had to listen to different. You know, like sometimes you listen to your like your computer like speaker. Sometimes don't sound that good, and you listen to like different like closed-in environment better, and you can really tell like better vocals, or you can hear the different beats and whatnot. So I had to give In Desperate Need another chance, and I did. And I was like, I'm sorry, like. It's not. It was a good song. I'll say that it was a good. I'm not going to put it as a top 10 though.
That's cool. And it's 18 tracks.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot. On here.
Honest to God, if Dizzy Wright takes off big shots, I would be able to deal with the bad hook on Job, and it might have gotten a 5. It's just the fact that I can honestly say I never want to hear Big Shots again.
Big Shots, I liked it. I had it as like a 4. It was like a all right.
So yeah, like I said, that's definitely
J.O.B. Yeah, that's like that's the like number 1. The hook wasn't that. Yeah, it was.
Like I said, the verses are fine. Like he said some decent shit on those verses, but that hook can never be. I don't want to hear that hook again.
No.
And like he's out here saying J.O.B. Like I've always had this thing about spelling in rap, like especially a word like job. Like if you're gonna spell, you better do it on some boozy webby shit and get out here and spell independent. Like there were some niggas I think that learned how to spell independent through that song. Like, so you better get out here with something unorthodox. Like spell the word do a song called Unorthodox and spell that shit.
Yeah,
like shit like that. But outside of that, like I said, this album is the to me like if people had this is to me is an up and coming album of the year type of track. It's not a classic. I don't think this is a classic, but I don't think we're gonna get any classic albums out of 2017 either. And it's not the first one. But now what I can say is it's actually a sequel. To me, you could play the first Golden Age and then play Golden Age 2, and you'll be able to get the same vibe out of the both.
Okay.
A lot of artists have been coming out with these Marshall Mathers LP 2. That was not anything like the first Marshall Mathers LP. The documentary and then the documentary 2 and 2.5 are not like the first documentary.
The game, yeah.
I'm worried about Muddy Waters 2, even though I trust Redman.
You can trust them.
I trust Redman, but it's been like 20 years.
It's just been something. I mean, it might just be a quick little video, and it has a Pittsburgh DJ. Shout out to the boy JCO.
Okay.
Pittsburgh DJ. You want that old DJ shirt that's on TV?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I worse. All right. I've been waiting for Muddy Waters 2 for a while. You've been waiting for it since like elementary school. All right.
And your mic gets cut.
But like I said, to me it's really hard in rap or in music in general to come out with sequels. Like you think movies is hard enough to come out with a sequel, let alone music. And I think this is a good sequel, like a good really formed sequel to a first album or the first mixtape. Which like I said, I thought the mixtape before was good enough to be called an album, the first one.
Okay.
So like I said, this will be a nice way to see what's going on in the prospect of things. But I guess we'll get into these tops. What's your top 3?
Top 3, Give It To Him, Real, and then that starts with number 1, Do the Most, number 2, and number 3, Fraud. So I like the back to back. Like I said, I like the back to back. I don't just saying that people out there in the rap game. Oh, sorry, just don't really do anything. It's like they're have ghostwriters or something, and I feel like I know for a fact, like anybody pretty much off of Funk Volume, I feel have a very hard commitment to the game. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm sad they're not together, but all those guys had a real commitment. You all about that. Like I thought they were going to be something like the solid crew, but things happen.
My top 3, I'll go 3 to 2. 3 is Pet Peeve. Like I said, the Posse Cut was just a good put together Posse Cut. My number 2 is In Desperate. My number 2 is In Desperate Need. And number 1's Fraud. Like I said, Fraud is one of the realest tracks I've heard in years. You're right. The back to back, like actually, Do the Most was like an honorable mention, and for a long time, because I kind of listened to the album and like marked my top 3s and worst, like when I'm listening to it. And Do the Most was up there for a long time until I got down the track 15 with Pet Peeves. Like I was up, like it was up there for a while, just in my mind. Like yeah, Do the Most is still one of the top tracks on this album. Same thing with, like I said, the end of the album, like this is a good album all the way through. Like I said, I told you, like I don't really have a top 3 worst. I have a song I don't want to listen to again with which is Big Shots, and then J.O.B. has a bad hook. But outside of that, there's nothing really wrong with the album. You take away Big Shots, and maybe I don't know what you do with J.O.B.'s hook to fix the hook, but there's 2 bad songs. It's 18 tracks. Tell you now, if he made this 10 tracks and I just happen not to never hear 6 of the other songs, this is a perfect album. This is perfect what I imagine. I just got to figure out how your track length now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But that's hard to figure out, like what your viewers are gonna like, want to listen to. So I mean, like having a couple extra songs in there I think gives a little buffer. It gives you something to work with. Like you can have 12 out of 16, or was it 18?
Yeah, it was 18.
18. So 12 out of 18 were good. Like that's pretty good. Like
I mean, to me, 14 out of 18 were good.
14? Oh yeah,
I would 14, say no. I would say 16. 16 out of 18.
Yeah. So you say 16 out of 18. If you would have brought that down to 10, what if one of those were in there, or 12 or something?
Oh, it would have been terrible. If it was a 10-song album, Big Shots and Job would have both made it. It would have been terrible. Like it would have been terrible. It would have been terrible for the fact that it was that like you had those 2 blocks. Because the thing about it is, remember tests in school? If you have a 10-question test, you get 1 wrong, it's automatically a B. You get 2 wrong, you're automatically down to a C.
Yeah.
So or something like that. I forget what the percentage was, but it's like that when you go smaller.
Yeah.
So there was more room for error in 18 for such a good album. Saying that, I guess I will drop my number for this week's review on Dizzy Wright. For the Golden Age 2, I'm going a solid 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
Wow.
4 or 5. I haven't heard like any number over 3 from this man. I don't think, have I?
Now, did you start off this album with 3.5? It's gonna start. You gotta watch it. It don't start at 0. You gotta think about that.
Again, I haven't listened to Dizzy in a while, so like it's like I said, I haven't listened to his
the last impression we had, which was
it was still high.
2.3.
I
do remember the last review, a couple years ago.
So yeah, like I said, what's your you've been giving out 4s and stuff, so
I have. I'm gonna give this. I think I'll give it a 4, a solid 4.
Like I said,
it was good.
Like I said, it was really close. Like I said, like 4, like to get a 5 out of me, I gotta think it's gonna be a classic, or it's a classic from an artist that's not going to get the recognition again. Like I think I gave the Scarface album a while ago a 5, but I understood that nobody's going to understand that I gave a Scarface album a 5 in 2016. So, but like I said, this is definitely going to be I could definitely say it'll be the most slept on album of this year. Like people are going to miss this album, and I feel bad for them.
You don't miss it. It's a good one. Yeah.
It's like it's up there with the Damian Marley. Like this and Damian Marley are 2 albums where I'm like, I don't think it gets enough promotion.
Listen to Damian Marley on the trip to Atlanta. Loved it.
See? Okay, yeah.
Whenever y'all do interviews, I do go to get the music afterwards, and that on the road trip, everybody loved it in a ride.
See? Like I said, Damian, some of these artists aren't like, I think Damian is loved globally. It's just like I said, in America, I don't think people are going to get to listen to this. And in Dizzy Wright's case, it's just the fact that without Funk Volume, I don't think he's getting the promotion he used to get.
Yeah.
And but again, he's still got the features, man. If he's out, he got Big Crit out here. So that was, and then you know why this album's so good? The Big Crit song wasn't even in my top 5. It's a great track, but it wasn't in my top 5. And to me, when you're not a big artist, if you have a big feature, there's a lot of time that big feature is the album.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that. Like Crit was good what he did. The verse was solid, but that song was cool. Like I said, like every song is cool, but the songs that I highlighted are the fucking not bangers, but like these are the songs that grabbed me. Outrageous is cool, like I said, featuring Crit, but it's not. I can live with it. I can live without it. When it comes to how great the album is. Again, if they dropped this down to 10 tracks, I don't know if Outrageous is in the top 10. But again, 16 out of 18 tracks are great tracks to listen to on a daily basis, I think. Saying that, we are going to give you 2 out of the 3 albums we are for sure reviewing next week. Next week's 2 reviews out of the 3. Like I said, we're waiting to see what our local will be or if or not. But we were doing XX Tectonic, or my nickname for him is XX Face on the Floor.
XXX, you got knocked the fuck out.
Yes. He's dropping his first album called 17. That will be next week. I'll figure out his real name and I'll start respecting his name next week when we start doing the real review. But all I know him for is getting knocked out. And
so it starts at the 4. Yeah, get up, Craig.
No, you know what he's lucky about is I've only ever heard one verse. The only track I've ever heard from XX Gets Knocked Out is he was on a Rich Chigga track.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good, but it's the only thing I've ever heard. So he has a level playing field because he doesn't have this long line of mixtapes or stuff. See, that's the thing. If you drop 20 mixtapes before your first album, what am I going to think about? You dropped 20 terrible mixtapes and I'm up to your first album.
Sometimes mixtapes albums different.
Yeah.
I'll think of some examples soon. Okay.
And then we're also going to do ASAP Ferg, Still Striving. But like I said, those are for sure up for next week. Like I said, we'll get you up with the local tomorrow with our update. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to get into depth and get into our real play-by-play with the whole Kyrie and all that. Remember, sports tomorrow, Thursday. But again, we do have a couple more of our day-to-day topics, get into our wild thing that happened in America segment. Or not America, in the world, because our last couple have been worldwide. And again, we'll get some more updates on James with his whole how he feels about what's going on in sports and stuff.
Right.
Like I said, we'll be right back. This is GMOY Radio, Unfiltered. James and Jay Skyline, flipping around for y'all a little bit. We have them in like plugging everything, so follow us on IG and Twitter. Jay Skyline 99, Jay Skyline 99,
and James _Lane.
GMWW Radio on Instagram and Twitter. And again, the Android app is up and running. You can get everything, listen to radio and live streams of music 24/7, 365, all day, all night. We got that. So we'll be right back on GMOY Radio.